What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going over the top 5 N54 maintenance items. The N54 is a fantastic motor, but they are a little troublesome in the maintenance area. That shouldn't scare you away from getting one at all. They're a little over dramatized on the maintenance aspect of them, but if you keep up on all your maintenance like you should on any car, they will last you for many miles. Now there's many maintenance items to do on these depending on your mileage. It kind of depends on what you need to do, but I'm at 116,000 miles. I bought it at 75, so a few of the ones that we're going to be going over today are ones that I've done, and then I'll put in other ones that are also good to get done. But we're just going to go over the top 5 main important ones. We're here in some random parking lot, got the car behind me, and we'll just get started and dive right into number 1. Okay, now number 1 is the oil filter housing and your oil cooler housing gasket. The reason that I think these are the most important are because once these start leaking, they will drip down onto your serpentine belt, and then it'll basically lubricate your serpentine belt, and then it can either degrade and fall apart, or it'll slip off of your crank pulley, which will then get behind the crank pulley, get through the crank seal, and then into your oil pan, and then basically clogs your oil pickup, and then your motor explodes because it's oil starved. So this one is very important in my opinion. Mine's actually leaking right now. There's a little residue right now. So there will be a video coming out on replacing that. But anyways, it's a little complicated because you have to access a bolt underneath the manifold. So that's kind of a pain, but overall it's not that bad. Cost isn't that bad. You can get a kit off FCP, and they have the filter housing and the oil cooler gasket and all the required hardware for I think 50 bucks. So pricing is not that bad on that one, but this is probably top 1 important in my opinion. All right, number 2 is going to be the coil packs and the spark plugs. These are also pretty important. If your car's stock, they won't go out as much, but they can. But if you're modified and you're full bolt-on or big turbo or whatnot, they can often cause misfires from bad plugs. So plugs and coils are very important. On this car, I'm running NGK 2-step colder plugs, which help when you're full bolt-on or big turbo. And I think the OEM coil packs is all I have. You do have a lot of other upgrade options like the Precision Racework coils and the Audi R8 conversion coils. Those will allow for like more ignition timing and, you know, kind of better settings in that area. But for an FBO, you can stick with the stock plugs, and you know, if you do the 2-step colders, those will help over the stock plugs. The annoying thing on these cars is you do need a special socket to get them out. It's just a multi-point thin wall socket. So that is a good tool to invest in if you're buying from, you know, ECS or FCP. Just order one of those. I think they're like 12 bucks. And but straightforward, no specialty anything else needed for the plugs and coils, and they're just under the engine cover, so it's super easy to access. That's one of the easier maintenance items you can do in probably 20 minutes, and it really improves your idle and just basically makes the car run a lot better. All right, number 3 is going to be your serpentine belt and your power steering pulley. So you can get a better power steering pulley. I believe it's a power steering pulley, but it's aluminum. Definitely worth it to upgrade so you don't have to worry about it, because they can go bad. But this kind of relates back to the oil filter housing gasket, how that can ruin your serpentine belt. You don't want that to happen at all. So it's always a good idea to have a good belt on there. I replaced mine when I bought it, so about 40,000 miles ago-ish. So I will probably be due to replace it again. I'm not sure the recommended interval, but It's always better to be on the safe side, and it's really not that pricey to do. If you take it to someone, it'll be a little more pricey. I've yet to do this DIY, so I can't say how hard it is, but that is a very important maintenance item to keep up on, as well as all the other previously mentioned. All right, number four is going to be vacuum lines. Now the N54 has quite a few vacuum lines. You got one going to your blow off, and then you got a couple in the back by the inlets, and you know, you just basically got vacuum lines everywhere to these canisters. And there's some running right here. These are a very good idea to replace. These cars are getting older, obviously, and depending on your mileage, they could be leaking or cracked or degrading. So those will cause vacuum leaks, and you don't want to be searching your entire motor and checking every vacuum line for vacuum leaks. So basically that's more of a peace of mind. And you know, obviously if you get a vacuum leak, your car's gonna run like crap, and you just want a good, smooth running car. So those are always a great idea to replace. They're pretty cheap. You can get this vacuum tube hosing from like O'Reilly's or anything for fairly cheap. And you know, it's not that simple of it's not that difficult of a replacement. You basically just pull the tube off, measure the length, cut it, put it back on. That simple. Very good one to get done. Very important too. All right, and number 5 is the infamous water pump and thermostat. Now, if you own an N54, you've probably heard of people's water pumps going out literally all the time. The one thing about these cars is they're not belt driven, so they're electric drive, which is good because it allows the pump to keep running after the car's off to kind of cool everything down. And it's just a simpler system. You know, not as many pulleys on your belts and whatnot. The downside is they do fail and they do crack. So there are quite a few issues with the water pumps. I've replaced this one already. FCP sells a kit. I know I'm mentioning FCP here a lot, but they sell a kit. They also offer lifetime warranties on all of their products. So that's really nice. The install is not too hard. It is tucked up there. It is by no means, you know, a simple install, I would say. The XIs, also the front transfer case, kind of makes it more difficult. You have a lot less room to work with. But on the 335Is and whatnot, and basically anything rear-wheel drive with an N54, they're pretty easy. So that will more than likely fail on you. I've noticed from just people posting and my own personal experience where this overheated on the side of the freeway because they just shut off and stopped working. So that is also why that is in the top 5 for maintenance. Whether it's been done or you know when it was done last, it's honestly a good item to replace so it doesn't leave you stranded on the side of the road. All right, you guys, that's basically it. Those are my top 5 maintenance items that I think are the most important. There's a lot of other maintenance items you can do. Walnut blasting is very good. If you don't know what that is, these are direct injection, so they get a lot of carbon buildup on your cylinders, not your cylinders, your intake. So they'll build up and basically restrict flow, and you don't want that because it causes bad performance. So walnut blasting, basically they just media blast in the cylinder and get rid of all that. You can have that done for fairly cheap. That's another good one. Wastegate rattles, obviously that's a little more involved, you know, turbo replacement, but that will inhibit some performance out of the car because you're not getting as much response out of the turbos. There's quite a few, and honestly just keep up on your regular maintenance, oil change, filters, whatnot, and you just want to keep these cars maintained and they will stay much happier with you, and it will cost a lot less out of your wallet. All right, you guys, that's about it. That sums it up. Hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully it gave you some ideas on what you need to tackle next for maintenance. But just remember, always keep up on it. And leave a like and subscribe, and there will be more videos coming.